Hello, hello. I feel like we're trying to juggle a lot of screens here, so allow me to say welcome. Happy Friday. My name is Kay Ross, writer, producer, and founder of Owl Echo Entertainment. And Owl Echo Entertainment, of course, is bringing us to Biscuits with Bosses. This is our weekly live podcast, basically where we sit around, have some tea, and chat about the industry. And we love chatting with leaders in the industry to really dive a little deeper and find out exactly what is the future of filmmaking and how can we elevate it. So, of course, this is Ted Lasso style, and just like the namesake, we're looking to have a bit of fun, but also improve the lives of others. And with me today is a laundry list of really awesome people in the industry. Allow me to just expand my screen for just a moment so that we can see everybody here. First, I would like to introduce Midian Crosby, filmmaker, special effects makeup artist, on little projects such as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Walking Dead, and of course, the founder of Monster Makeup Effects. We also have with us today Tabitha McDonald, filmmaker, producer, and co-founder of the Dark Red Film Festival out of New Mexico. Fabulous film festival. With us today, we also have Raven Burrs, podcast producer and founder of Victory Administration, working with creatives to help them level up and I feel like I'm going to mess this up, but help them level up their businesses. I'm forever indebted to you, and I can't wait to hear what else you have going on. And last but certainly not least, we have Stephanie Moore, producer and co-founder of Gemini Crown Tech, the company behind Production Value Software, which, of course, I can't wait to tell you more about because it just so happens that if you are interested in production value software, I have... See, this is what I have for not having my moderator here. Production Value Software, which is basically an all-in-one software for anyone who's looking to get from development to distribution. This is great for indie producers. This is great for content creators. It's also a great way to keep yourself in check. So a lot of software that deals with scheduling and budgeting is very geared towards a final output. But this one actually has like a checklist as well, so that if you're not sure what you need at every stage, it keeps you in line. So if you want more information, I think... Nope, of course I didn't copy and paste it correctly. Here we go. Copy. There we go. For more information on production value. But there you go. Just follow that link. And of course, if you'd like to receive 10% off, all you have to do to sign up is follow this little link here. Ta-da! There we are. Thanks. I just want to make sure everybody knew about production value. Thanks for that, Steph. And I feel like poor Midian keeps getting kicked out and coming back in. Okay, I see her there. Hold on. I see you, Midian. Come back. Yeah. Oh, that's so much better. I love it. I love it. All right. I feel I've done like the intro. I've kept up with all of the linky poos. Let me just start by saying, hi, everyone. What is everyone drinking today? Hi. Go for it, Steph, if you want to take us around the ring.
Sure. I am drinking hibiscus, or let me see, rose jasmine tea.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Is that like loose leaf?
Yes, it is. It's from this amazing little place in Laguna Beach called Tea and Turmeric. And it's owned by these two sisters that know everything about tea. And so they you go in and you talk to them and they'll be like, okay, well, here's this tea for this. And they're amazing women and I love them. And I love supporting them because they're awesome.
All right. I just found their website. So I'm going to make sure that everybody sees that too. Here we go. Which, for the record, anybody who is with us live, feel free to throw into the chat. We want to know what you're drinking as well. Totally fine if it's just water, because you'll be with me in the water club. Raven, what about you? What are you drinking today?
I am drinking coffee on this lovely Friday afternoon out of my do not disturb cup. That is not realistic that I won't be disturbed, but a girl can dream.
Hey, you never know unless you actually try. Oh man. I love though that it's straight into the point. There's no flowery. I mean, like there's a softer color to it, but like the message is clear.
Bold, please. Done.
You have to manifest it.
Right? Tabitha, I know you're a 2-bag tea person,
Yeah.
so I'm curious which 2 bags you have today.
I have a double bag chamomile, Last time it was chamomile lavender. Today it's just chamomile. And I have what I call my Breaking Bad mug, because I got this mug from Target like forever ago and then saw the same mug on Breaking Bad. And I was like, okay, well, I feel better about my plain mug. It's my Breaking Bad mug now, which is very Albuquerque of me, right?
I feel like the branding is on point right now. Midian, first off, I love your hair. I know we said it earlier, but look, wait, are you on set? Are you?
Fellow LaCroix. LaCroix.
Ooh.
And no, they don't have this flavor usually on set. They have the more boring flavors, but limoncello is nice summer flavor.
Yeah, man. Can always tell a production person at heart because they're actually voluntarily drinking LaCroix offset. That's magical. Although limoncello does sound really tasty, so I'm not even gonna hate on that.
That's one of my favorite flavors if I'm gonna drink LaCroix.
Right?
Yeah.
It's better, but No.
So I am curious though, because I feel like we've all had that moment where you're just like, tea is not enough. All right, so you're at tea or your coffee, because coffee's welcome here too. Like, what's your favorite snack item to go with your drink? For the record, I can't have mine right now because I brought out carrots and hummus, and I'm like, this is the loudest snack, which of course I can't have when I'm near a microphone. So she's just gonna have to wait until we're done. Midian, when you're on set, like, what's your set snack?
Oh, it depends on the set, what goodies they have. Usually, 3 things for the pocket and 1 thing for the now. If they have a healthy option, I really like the fruit leather kind of options, like dried fruit bars and things like that. So.
Yeah, man.
I'm currently on a melon kick, so like my bedtime snack currently is melon and tea. Like the melon is like any variety, but I've been on like a honeydew kick the last few weeks. So for what that's worth.
Honeydew.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's just so hot outside, so like melon is like nice and refreshing, but still sweet.
That's a good point. I feel like I've gone into full summer mode as well, so having something that's lighter, totally, right? Or just uncomplicated. Like when you said just coffee, I was like, yes, uncomplicated. I just need it direct. Raven, what about you?
I actually cannot eat anything with coffee. I don't know. Like if I go to a diner, I'll have coffee before or after the meal, but I can't really eat anything. I think for the sake of conversation, if I had to choose, I would say just like a simple coffee cake, like with the coffee, but I don't know, maybe because the bold flavor, I really can't eat anything with it.
That's wild. I feel like I'm the other way around, right? Where like it's so strong and acidic on my stomach that I have to have something with it just to protect my stomach. But I get that because I feel like when I've had like, Cuban coffee, when they come in those tiny little cups, those are just like meant to like end a meal, right? Like she done. But I get that. That's cool. Also, now I really want coffee cake. Thanks for that. Stephanie, I think you're the last one to round us out.
Oh, probably plain hummus with pita. Like honestly, it's one of those, like, especially today with that rose jasmine tea with the floral flavors. I'm like, well, something very plain, but like also that what is it called? It's kind of salty, but it's also just like it's not sweet at all because that tea is sweet. Like, please do not put sugar in it. Like, oh my God. People who put sugar in tea, I will never understand.
I agree.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm always like, why? Why do you put sugar in tea? It's wrong.
Oh man, I feel like this is a hot debate. For those of you who are live, I need to know, with your tea drinking, yes sugar, no sugar, because this is I think this is going to be the episode long debate. We're just going to keep coming back to it.
The only time that tea and sugar go together is if it's like meant to be like iced southern like sweet tea, and that's like an exception to the rule. But like if you're just like having a cup of tea, then why?
Not black tea, I like to put sugar in, but herbal tea,
Yeah.
not as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
if it's a British breakfast tea, then yeah, put a dab of honey and a little milk in it, and you're good to go. But not straight sugar. I still don't understand that one.
Ooh, I love this one submission from one of our listeners. Strawberry limeade, which I think is a great twist, right? Not strawberry lemonade, strawberry limeade. And then honey roasted peanuts. I personally can't have peanuts, but I love the honey roasted. I think that's a great, like, I mean, it's high sugar, but it sounds really satisfying.
Yeah. Also sounds like summer though, right?
Right? Exactly. For the record, I just want to like 2 + 2 for a minute, right? Because first off, yes, we have leaders in the industry. Yes, we are all like boss ass bitches. But I got to tell you, every time that I've had coffee or tea dates with people that I'm just getting to know or I'm reconnecting with, sometimes taking a moment and just being people, right? And it's not even just like small talk. It's really just that level of curiosity that Ted Lasso often promotes. Like, so if by chance you're hanging out with us and you're wondering like, why are we doing such genteel, demure things with our, industry time? Because sometimes you just need to be a person, right? And then you can kind of work up towards what's in your heart, what's in your head. Now, that being said, speaking of networking, I would love to hear from you guys, because usually on the show we have like quick fire getting to know you questions, like first concert, best concert, which I'm totally open to as well. But I'm curious, what's some of the best or worst icebreakers you have ever used or experienced?
Okay.
Go for it, Tabitha.
I can't recall a worst one, although I like do remember a setting where I probably did have the worst one because I had a very Michael Scott-esque boss. So, that, yeah. But, but one of the best ones, which I like discovered very recently, and I feel like it's very in line with my personal aesthetic, is what's your favorite way to eat potatoes? Because like, who doesn't eat potatoes, first of all? Second of all, like, I love potatoes, maybe to an unhealthy level. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is Dolly Parton saying, "I never met a spud I didn't like." And I'm like, so what's your favorite way to eat potatoes? It's like kind of like your favorite ice cream, but like not.
I can't actually determine if that's brilliant or just terrible. Seriously.
I mean, maybe it's both.
Maybe it's both. Again, if you're listening live, feel free to weigh in the chat. I want to know. Oh, yeah, I've never met a spud. So how do you take your potato, like, or how do you eat your potato? Because my first thought was with a fork. Like, it doesn't matter if it's fried or crispy or with a fork.
Yes.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Raven, I can see you have that thought.
Yes, I err on the side of, if when possible, icebreakers where people can move around. Those are always the ones that are best. Like thinking, workshop settings, things like that. One that I found that I thought was going to be pretty bland, that was actually super interesting, was I think we had to find someone with the same either birthday or at least birth month as you. And that turned into like what people's signs were and like the similarities and different things like that. So I thought that was really cool. It just gets people talking, because if you're not careful, you can just kind of still migrate to the people that you know when you're in that in-person setting. So I think the ones that any icebreaker really that gets people moving, but the birthday one specifically opened up some really cool conversations.
Ooh, I feel like now we have to do it. My birth month is January. How about everybody else?
October.
September.
July.
March.
Oh, yours is coming up, man.
Happy early birthday. I can't believe we're all over the map, but that's so fun. You're right, though. I think it works better in a bigger group, but also you're right. Like, but then you have to ask everybody.
You have to ask everybody. You have to, then it turns into like, oh, what day? And then, like I said, it came into people asking what's your sign or where you were born. So it just opened up just different kind of rabbit hole conversations, which was cool because in that space, the one I remember, not many of us knew each other. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I like that. I remember an intern once, or we were running an intern program with the first uh, staff position I was ever on for television. And in order to get to know each other quicker, we did something similar, but it was like this side, this side. And so you would have to choose, like, were you a cheerleader in high school? Yes or no, right? And then you could see at a glance, oh, do we have that thing in common, right? So it's like never have I ever, but like getting to know you instead of like getting the dirt on you.
Mm.
Yeah. So same idea, but like back and forth. It was kind of cool.
I think. Oh,
Go for it.
I think like both the worst and the best. It depends on how it's done as an icebreaker. Is what's your favorite film? Because it could be that somebody is scared to say like what their favorite film is because maybe it's a really dark film, and then people look at you like, what is your problem? Until you give them the reasoning for why it is your favorite film, and then you're in your people. Because if you say something like I do, which is, what's your favorite film? And my favorite film of all time, as dark as it is Requiem for a Dream. And everybody looks at me like, what is wrong with you? No, look at the music, look at the dialogue, look at every actor in it. Like, just look at the film as a whole. And that's a great icebreaker because it really like tells you how people look at the films. Otherwise, people are going to be like, oh, I like Transformers. Why do you like Transformers? Like, why? So I think that one's an interesting one, depending on who you're with. Like, if they're actually interested in why, I think it's a great icebreaker because it really tells you like how people relate to the world. But possibly not either.
Yeah. That's always a rough part of like networking is, or like that initial contact with new people is like, it's the hitch mentality, right? Like they want to get to know the real you, just not all at once, right? Which is hard because if they tap into a deep seated vein of something you're really passionate about, I mean, there she goes. What are you going to do? I mean, and I think that may be the best and worst, right? Networking question, which is don't ask a filmmaker what their favorite film is as your first question. You'll get the tirade. You will get everything and it will smack you across the face. And the only people I think who don't have that level are people who have learned to like, this is the practiced answer so that we can see whether or not you think the same way. In which case, beware, because it's a test. That's my 2 cents anyway. Midian, any thoughts on best worst icebreaker?
Icebreakers, no, I don't really remember any good or bad ones. But the favorite film thing just made me think. Kevin Bacon posted on his stories and Instagram the other day that he was asking not necessarily your favorite film, but like what film has really stuck with you more so than any other film. And that's like, for me, it's a different film than like my favorite films because there's like, it's on the side of kind of in my heart, not necessarily mind, best film or, one I watch the most or, but if I only had to have one film that really kind of spoke to me, it kind of is not the one that people would associate with my style or anything. It has more to do with, my teenage years, I suppose.
Oh, see, now I'm really curious. Do you mind if we pass that one around? Because I want to hear what the thing that came to everybody's mind when you asked that question.
And I actually asked my friend. I said, "Which one is it?" And she knew right away before I even did. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, actually, you're right." Uh, so mine's Lady Hawk.
Oh, Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, dated AF, but really impactful.
For sure.
Wow. Okay. All right. I see some thinky faces. Anybody got one in the brain? Totally fine if you don't, because I feel like I'm gonna let y'all marinate on it because the next section is all about the victory round. And I feel like that I hate saying it always takes a minute for people to figure out what am I proud of that I did? Because it's so easy for people to just go check, check, check. And that's the thing that didn't quite work. And I'm going to work on the thing that didn't quite work. But if we don't take a moment to really celebrate, these are the things that I'm doing well, we don't have a chance to build on them. So I'm here to help y'all build and help me build and help everyone build. So even if you're listening live, I want to hear from you guys too. Put it in the chat. Let us know what is something that you did this past week that you are super proud of, right? And this can be a personal victory, right? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, but it can certainly be a professional one as well, right? Look at environmental or financial or occupational. It can even be a social victory, right? You got out of your comfort zone and maybe you met somebody new or you went to that event. So social victories are totally worth it as well. Thanks for putting it in the chat. But to the people who are here with me, because you guys are awesome, and I always love hearing the small and the big victories. Does anybody have a victory that they want to share?
I will go first because mine is, I guess, a little bit of both, like personal and professional, in terms of victory. So I am, no pun intended. So I am a it's okay, I got it type person, very much so in every way. And I had a lot on my plate recently, and I just was like feeling like I was not gonna be able to pull everything out. Um, but the beauty of it was I really learned and applied pacing myself this week. And I ended up getting things back on track. Everything's been great. And that's something I'm really, really, really proud of myself for, because usually I'm just like, I didn't do it. I just can't, But no, this week was a stop, break it down step by step. What do we need to do? Prioritizing like a week of bounce back resilience for me professionally. So really proud of that.
Yes. I love this victory so much. Because I mean, in a way, it's about the pivot, right? The pivot
Yeah.
is actually recovery in action, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a pitfall and you noticed the pitfall and you recovered from it and you found a way forward. Like to everybody else, it looks like pivot, but the experience of it is really, you know, recovering in a timely manner. So cheers to knowing yourself, and cheers to, making good decisions.
Yeah, thanks. And also like learning even more ways to build process. You know me, Kay, I love a process. But finding more ways to better my processes. It was necessary because I am so systemic, I can get really stuck in this is how I do the thing. And that's it. No, I don't want to hear anything else about it. But this week really required me to stop, re-examine processes and make them better.
Yeah. And if I may, take a moment and just identify with that for a moment,
Mm-hmm.
because I was thinking about my victories and I'm still not sure that this is the main victory I want to claim, but one of them was definitely like I had a bad day. I got overwhelmed, and the more I was like, I'm running out of time to do the thing. I'm feeling bad about running out of time to do the thing. I just got stuck in the spiral of like, so when do I break free and do something? And I was like, you know what I really want to do right now? I want to do that one thing that I'm the only one who can do, right? Because in the structure of my company, I'm the only one who can really do the content. Like when you're talking about like written descriptions or whatever, that can be delegated, but like I'm about to start pre-sales in 3 weeks, 3 months. God, no, not 3 weeks. And that book can only really be done by me. Nobody else can do that part. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna put myself in a little cave and get some writing done, because that part is going to make me feel better. It's going to give me the energy to do the other thing. So yeah, yes. And I totally identify. Um, and that's how I recovered, like that's how I dug myself out of that hole. So yeah. cheers to that, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say cheers to you too, because
Aw.
that's just
Yes, all the cheers, all the cheers. For the record, for those of you who are listening, this is one of the reasons why we take a moment and not just listen to somebody else's victory, but reiterate it when you hear it, and then cheers, is because the more we can make it into a memory, the more likely you will remember it for later, so you can build on it. So, look, it's a small memory in comparison, but hopefully it's something to continue to anchor yourself in. These are my values, and I want to continue building on my values. So, thanks so much for joining in the chat with your victories as well. But I want to do another little lap. Anybody else want to share their victory from this past week? Go for it, Steph.
I don't trust people very, like, it's a hard thing for me to let people in. And one of my victories is like what's in the chat that I can see right now, letting people who love me help me. Because I don't like asking for help. It is the hardest thing for me to do because I don't know if I can count on people. And certain people have really, really come through. And it's not that they can fix it, it's that they sat there and they listened. And that is such a victory for me, because for me to be that vulnerable, to let someone in, to be like, hey, I'm struggling with this, you are not friggin' alone, is amazing. And that's something I have struggled with for at least 16 years, probably longer than that, because I've just learned to, no, you got to do it yourself. You got to do it yourself. You got to do it yourself. And that's not true, because as much as you want to do it yourself, you got to let somebody in. And when you let that person in, it's amazing how much brighter that world gets, because you let like one little bit more light in. It's so it may not be a big victory to anyone else, but it is a huge victory to the person that it's happening with and to, because maybe that person loves you and that's all their heart desires is to help. And so like it's a two-pronged thing, because I also helped someone who doesn't trust easily find that light. And so it's a double-pronged victory for me, because they trusted me enough. So it's trust goes both ways. So I think that's a really cool victory.
Yeah.
Very personal one, but a very cool one that I know like in our industry is sometimes very hard to trust people, to be able to share that. But when you find those people that you can trust and be like, hey, this is what I'm struggling with, and then you realize so many other people are also doing that, it's weird, but it's like all of a sudden the light gets much brighter, because you realize you're not alone in that darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and can I jump in? I know it's roundtable style,
Please.
so, and I feel like Stephanie, I feel like that's so awesome, and I think to highlight something you said, like I think that it is enough, right? Because one thing that I noticed that you said that I do a lot of times, I'm like, okay, it was just for me, or it was just kind of like my little part of the world, but like I've been working to make my part of the world enough for
Yes.
me or for the people around me. So like I'm like, cheers to you, as in Kay's words earlier, for that, because like that is like so much more than enough, like for that to light up, your entire world or that person's entire world for that time.
Yeah. And thanks for chiming in. That's exactly what, I think sometimes the roundtable is hard. So just know that you're open to respond as you hear things. So thank you for jumping in. The water's fine. But also thanks for shouting out the comment, because I think that's also part of our listening when it comes to the victory round. So I also wanted to share, just so we can see, this is the victory from P. Calhoun Jr. My victory would be allowing people who love me help me out of my dark spaces. My favorite saying is, who saves Superman can't do it all, and it's okay to ask for help. And you're absolutely right. Thanks so much for sharing. And thanks for riffing off of that, Stephanie. And cheers. Yes, a proper cheers to you both. Cheers to you for trusting in somebody else, but also being a trustworthy person. Right on. I'm telling you, if this catches on, every happy hour, you're just going to see people cheersing people like multiple times just to hear everybody celebrate their victories. It's gonna be great.
I love it.
Tabitha, I saw quite a lot of nodding. Did something occur to you as you heard
It's
that?
more just like, I'm like, man, I feel this. I feel this. It's like, I feel the trust element. I feel the like, I can do it. I'll just take care of it. I got this. Like, I relate to both of those sentiments so strongly. I think that might be common in the film producer world specifically, but in film in general. So yeah, I was just like, this is me. This is why we're here in this room. It's like we have these similarities. Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think of like a victory for this week, and I feel like I don't have anything like super new to share, but I can like say that I am still doing what Kay, you and I talked about last time. Is like I'm trying to incorporate more friend time, and I'm still successfully doing that. So I like, even though that feels like a small win to me, just because like it's just like a consistency thing. I think, I'm still doing it. So it's progress for someone who tends to put work first and not put friendship in the mix too. So yeah.
No, and I love that as a victory because it's not like a new victory. Like it's not a foundational victory that you're going to build on over time. It's like an in progress victory, which means like you already know you're building on that victory, which is great. That's awesome. That's exactly what we hope that we do.
Yeah.
So yes, all the cheers. All the cheers for making time for friends.
Important.
It is. Which I feel like also begs the question, and I'll open this up to anyone in the chat as well. Like, when do you determine that you're in hermit mode, and when do you determine, okay, I got to push myself back out there and see friends again? Because that line is super fuzzy for me. I think that's true for a lot of people, but I want to hear from you guys. And while people are thinking about that and putting in the chat, Miriam, what victories do you have to claim? I want to know.
Well, I have this last week taken a huge step towards a major change that I have been wanting to do for decades, but seriously, I guess the last couple of years. So took a boot camp. I hired on kind of a team of coaches to kind of take this next step, which is super scary, super exciting, major pivot, major life change. So
wow,
that is terrifying, and it's going to be good. So I'm really excited, and pushing through the anxiety of doing something different, very different. So
yeah, man. I feel like there were little kernels of wisdom through everything you just said, and like, because when you were talking, I was like, remember that time when someone said like, if you can find the magic sauce to get from anxiety to excitement, then you can actually go quite far. So I loved when you like, there was that kind of hidden in that gem, and then like the fact that you took action to make it happen, right? Like going to the boot camp, it wasn't just like, I'm going to do this. Like your action reflected you were going to do it. What a, again, just this little nugget along the way of, I'm making this huge change. So I feel like I want to cheers like 3 different things. Just all at the same time.
and it involves, trusting more than just myself, because I've only gotten myself so far in this, and I do need to add people to my team, and I need to rely on others. So just like Stephanie said, like that is something that we all tend to struggle with. Whether it's because we're women, whether it's because, we're artists, whether we're a little bit neurodivergent, whether, it's that we're in this kind of creative field. I don't know what it is, whether we're human in this society that, celebrates individualism. I think reaching out and actually relying on other people is a difficult thing for us to do. It's important.
before I forget, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of yes ands after that statement. Like, let me just make sure that I gave you a hearty cheers, because after decades of wanting it and a couple of years of going for it, cheers, my friends. Cheers, my friend, for making those next steps. Yeah. I feel like the yes and I want to include, and it's only because the shift in my approach as a creative, because I kept saying, like, my aptitude is not in logistics. I use logistics, but if you put me in a line producer role, you'll see me shrivel up and die, because my logistics need to be put into a creative outlet. The shift that had to happen within me in order to do that is learning how to build as a visionary instead of react as a producer. And so part of the growing pains of that include, just because it's an emergency doesn't mean it's my emergency. And just because nobody else is checking in on me doesn't mean it's not important. Because usually with an emergency, somebody's coming to you for it, right? Reactionary. Whereas if you're in build mode as a creative, no one's looking in on you, but you still have to do it. Which has been like a lifelong thorn in my side. Like, I stopped doing band because I was like, no one cares if I practice, so I'm not going to practice. So the only time I practiced was in the orchestra with everybody else, and that it just doesn't cut it. Anyway, all that to be said, my yes and for you, Midian, is I think there is such a profound resolve with creative leaders when they put in the time when nobody else is looking to continue to build the thing. It's just astounding to me. So if no one's told you that lately, you rock, my friend. Yeah, I mean, we all rock. Every person here has built a thing and continues to build a thing, which I feel like is probably a natural segue. Oh, and we got some yays in the chat. Thank you so much for the yays. Thank you for joining in the celebration. Because, you know, we like the feel good stuff, and and, you know, we're here drinking tea, we're drinking coffee, we're having fun. Although I feel like the fun side of all of this is, like, we haven't tapped into our favorite films yet, and I still want to hear it. But I think that's partly because we're all out here making stuff, and it's hard for our hearts right now to make stuff. So I'm curious, you know, what is it that everybody is doing in their respective corners of the, you know, industry? And what are your hopes for the industry so that we can continue? If we're building on our victories, I think we can also start aiming towards our hopes. So yeah, what's going on with you in your industry, and what can we do to help, man? And I am going to take volunteers, because I'm like, we all got something. We're all trying to tame that beast.
I'm working on a number of different things, such as my life. Probably one of the bigger passion projects for me, and Kay knows this, is motherhood as it relates to the creative industry. So I don't know who else on the call has children, but I have two, and of course, becoming a mother already has a lot of, I won't say challenges, I'll say transitions. But then when you're in the creative space, a lot of times in the entertainment industry, it can be very difficult to balance motherhood with a career in the field. So one thing that I am working on right now is a fund that would essentially allow new mothers, you don't have to be on your first child or anything like that, but new mothers to apply for funding to take maternity leave. So there are a lot of mothers that are entrepreneurs, contractors, you know, freelancers and so on, that go back to work before they really need to, before they really want to, because they don't have a choice, right? Like, there's no FMLA if you're a freelancer entrepreneur a lot of times, especially if you're a solopreneur. So there are a number of mothers that I've spoken to when I kind of felt like I was alone, and that went back to work really, really soon, because I got this kid and I got to feed them. So a fund that will allow freelancer entrepreneur mothers to apply again for funding to take the maternity leave that they may need for their mental and physical healing. And even finding resources for mothers in film specifically, because we do have to travel for work a lot, and what that looks like, providing resources for them to, if it's freeze drying milk to get it across the country back to their child, like different resources for mothers in the film industry to be able to be the mother that they truly want to be, um, and still have their career. So that's one thing. That's a passion project for me that I'm working on. And then the other side, just still doing the business of creativity workshops. So I have a 2-hour workshop that I do that teaches creative entrepreneurs how to literally mind their businesses.
Y'all, I cannot recommend your services enough. Which, even if you guys aren't available for the workshop specifically, I do know that Raven also allows for coaching sessions individually. So let me just make sure you guys have that link. Ta-da! Creative business coaching session with Raven. Highly recommend. She's phenomenal, especially for those of you who are struggling as a creative brain to organize yourself as an entrepreneur. Like, those two things are not necessarily compatible. And she's really, really good at helping you like stay focused and stay on track as an entrepreneur. So I love, by the way, that fund. That is such a great idea. I feel if you don't mind me asking, like, I feel like, because you mentioned that you knew people who went back too early, like, was this inspired by something in particular? Like, either your experience or somebody else, who, like, I wish I could help, I wish I could do more, and this is like your way of going back in time and being like, okay, this is the thing I wanted, you know.
Yeah, it actually is inspired by my own experience. So as I mentioned, I have two babies. With my oldest, my company was smaller. So I don't even think I really took maternity leave with her, but things were a lot more relaxed. My husband and I were both remote because she was born kind of at the tail end of COVID before everyone was fully back out into the world. So the circumstances were different. When we had our second child, my husband was in the office full time. I was at home running the business with our oldest. And I did take a couple of weeks off, but one, I could have used more, but it was a lot on my husband. And then I got to thinking about, one, how we felt it as a 2 income family. But I thought about all the mothers who don't have someone else. Like, my income is supplemental in a lot of ways, in our household, but the moms who are the breadwinners, the moms who do not have a second income. And as I just kind of started organically having these conversations, so many mothers experienced this even outside of the film industry. A nail tech that I know was talking about how she was doing pedicures, right? So leaning over up until, like, I think she said the week before her son was born. And then I think she took 2 or 3 weeks off, and then she was right back in the nail salon. So,
God.
and for her, right, she's an entrepreneur. So same, kind of that same circumstance. She wanted to take more time and could have used more time, but did not have that option. So how that was, to answer your question, that was what inspired it, was my own experience, but then also me thinking about and learning other mothers' experience, because I'm a firm believer in the fact that there are a lot of things that we go through for other people more than we go through them for ourselves. So how can I use my experiences to help someone or some other people?
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good point. I'm a pause though, because I know sometimes it's hard for me to remember the question after I've asked it when we go down a really great path. So let me just come back to it, which is uh, future of filmmaking, right? What is it you're doing right now? And what are your hopes kind of for the future? Like, what is that working towards? And hands are totally fine if you want to go for it, Steph.
So with Gemini Crown Tech, I think we kind of touched on it before, but we just really want to change how people go about doing what they do, because so many people are missing out, like, not only on the chance to actually, like, get their films distributed. It's so much more than that. They're missing out on funds, because they don't realize that if you account for everything, like, meaning all your in kind, like the services you don't actually have to pay for because you can get it for favor, or somebody donations, things like that. They're missing out on it, and they're doing a disservice not only to themselves and to the economy that they're working in. Um, they they're discounting. They're essentially discounting all all the goodness that they do because they don't know it. They just don't know it because unless you're lucky enough or hard-headed enough to go and get an MBA when you're not coming from a business perspective, you're coming from the creative, you're not going to know those things. Like it's just not structured that way. And so one of the things like our like mine and my business partner who is also a Stephanie, one of our hopes is to essentially like innovate the way that we budget for films, meaning like instead of this above the line below the line that is really only good for the big studios, making it to where a small, however small micro budget or no budget film can actually look at it and say, this is how much we gave back to our economy. So essentially looking at it from how do we take the, like what the corporations do, which is, and the studios do, which is they account for everything. How do we do that? How do we make sure that we can say, our industry matters and what we do matters because this is how much we gave back. This is how much we count. And so that's something that like Stephanie and I both are very passionate about, is essentially giving these tools to filmmakers without actually having to go and spend $60,000 to $100,000 trying to figure out how to do the business side of film, how to do, how do you do the accounting, how do you do these things. And instead of essentially like taking away from the people who honestly work the hardest on film sets, which is our below the line, everybody below the line works so freaking hard, and they're not the ones who are getting treated properly. Like I am freaking passionate about my below the line crew. They freaking matter. Like I will shut down set if somebody disrespects my PAs, because you know what? Those PAs are working their butts off. They are working so hard and they are not getting the thanks. They are not getting the accolades, and they need to be. So just know that like if I am ever if I am ever like upset about something, it's probably because somebody got disrespected and it's probably a PA. I just so passionate about that. As Kay well knows. But also just being able to be like, okay, so how do we make sure that everybody gets paid? Like on a set, because people are like, oh, we don't have the funding for that. How do you not have funding for a PA who's working their butt off, but you have money for food that's not going to be eaten?
Yep.
It makes no sense. It's not right. And it's because the accountability is not there. And that is something that I am extremely passionate about. But also it's how we created the software was to account for that. Like you can account for in-kinds, you can account for like every line. Like I am so sad whenever I see this amazing film and I realize that these people are never going to get it anywhere because they didn't know, they really honestly did not know that they needed to be saving for marketing from development. And just like Raven, I love what you're doing so much, because that is the part that I am not good at. Like I can put in the systems, I can create the systems for it, but actually like teaching people how to do that part where it's like, hey, by the way, this is what's important. Like, oh my gosh. Oh, like so many kudos to you for what you're doing, because I know how to do it, but that's because I was one of those people that like was just so hard headed. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. But to have someone that can coach people, I think is so incredibly important. And so I would love to see even more. I would love to see even more like networking and just coming together and really like partnering with these different parts that we don't think about, because everybody thinks about the producing and the directing. And even if you're looking at film schools, they're looking at the producing and the directing and the cinematography, which yes, absolutely you need that. But also, what about the business side? Where is that? Where is that love? Where is that training? Because a lot of these filmmakers are making so many amazing films, but they're getting left out or they're getting left in the dirt because they don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And there are so many gate kept things that shouldn't be gate kept. And with the rise of independent film again, which we're seeing, we can make a freaking difference. And that's partnerships. So sorry, I get on tangents occasionally because I'm so sorry, but yes, below the line love for
Do
real.
not apologize.
Right?
But that's my
There's
hope.
an official soapbox right here for a reason. Like,
But that's
yes,
why we
and
created
all of
what we
that.
did. That's why we created what we did. Was also, I don't know about you guys, but I hate having to use 16 different platforms to do my job. Put it all in one, for crying out loud. Put it all in one, for the love of my brain. And also, like, let's just put it this way, economically it makes sense to put it all in one because you're not wasting time or money. Let's be honest.
Time is money. So
Yes.
And I'm putting in the information just now into the chat in case you didn't get it before. So you can get more information about the production value software that Stephanie Moore is talking about. And of course, if you're looking to sign up, you can get 10% off with the code BWBosses because you is one of the bosses. So, get that discount. Also, can I just the yes and to independent? Because I think the disconnect for independent for the longest time hasn't been the quality. It's been the connection to the audience, right? And that does take a certain amount of knowledge from a business standpoint, right? How do you find your audience? And I will certainly open that up to the audience because we should continue this conversation about how does indie not just keep making the work, how do we continue to find our audience? My 2 cents is YouTube. Like it's held through, much like Netflix has just like rode the wave of changes through the ages. But that's me starting a conversation. Y'all keep going with it, but I want to circle back around to like, hey, what is it you're doing? What are your hopes for the industry? Also, if you have any yes ands, go for it because I want to hear it. But Tabitha, Midian, either of you would like to jump in about what you're doing?
Midian, you want to go? You want me to go?
Yeah. My crystal ball says that Hollywood's going to do what they can to really test AI to its limits. They're going to try and cut out as many people as possible, try and make as much money as possible, and I think it's going to fail. I think it's not going to connect to audiences. They're already not connecting to audiences. They have the money now, but I think it's going to come back around when we see that short form on YouTube is really blowing up. Short form in other areas is really blowing up. People are wanting shorter content, more series kind of thing. Sure, you want to binge sometimes, but it's more fast paced. It's like you have a lot of executives that are still pushing out these 2.5 hour punching, kicking, CGI things that just don't really have a whole lot of story to them. And it's stories are what that's what makes us human. Is telling these stories and connecting to other humans. And when
Yes.
you take that human element out of things, people disconnect. And I think all we're really looking for is to connect better. And so, we come back to that issue though of where does indie get the money in order to make it happen? And so I think a lot of systems everywhere, whether it's a governmental system, whether it's the system that film has been doing, I think it all needs to be shaken up and resettled. And I think right now we're in that shake it up stage, and it's going to be a little uncomfortable. It's going to be a little weird. It's going to be something that we don't really know how to deal with. And then, the cream will rise and we'll see some more interesting things. And stories will always continue because we are human.
Cheers to that. And I feel like my yes and to that is one, I heard from a fellow producer that there was a indie film that had gotten basically the product rights to put certain beers, local beers, into their film. And part of the incentive of that was because it was like local craft, whatever, they have a location, and that location could actually house a screening. And so there was this like promotion upon a promotion where it's like, not only do I get to like promote your thing as a product in my film, but now the people who already like that product also get to enjoy the film. So there's this cross marketing and they're helping each other. And that symbiosis is not just logical, but fun. I mean, when you think of Alamo Draft House as being this like unique thing, or this wide, spreading thing now, it was a unique thing before. And part of what made it unique was because no one had ever thought of making it into a show like other things, right? Like dinner theater or whatever. And so I feel like part of the innovation now is, it's not a matter of like, how do I make my audience bigger? It's how do I have the biggest impact with the audience I know I have? Because if you can deliver on that really small audience, they will tell other people, Yeah. So that was my yes and to what you just said, because I was like, there's a way now. You can do things, get innovative, which includes, I think you're right about the shorts on YouTube, like vertical filming is blowing up elsewhere. We should look into that. I'm personally all about the transmedia right now, because if studios are using IP to build a thing, then why aren't we? Full stop. If you have a narrative podcast, if you have a book, if you have, a tabletop game with characters, make it and then see if you can expand on it in another medium. Get creative. So that's my little rant. Thanks for listening. My soapbox is away.
We love a rant.
Tabitha, I see your thinking mind. Go for it.
Yeah. So I feel like I just like want to have like sidebar conversations with each of you and like learn from you.
I will happily make sure you guys have each other's contact information. In fact, let me make sure for anybody who doesn't know Midian and wants to be able to find her again, there is her Instagram. That is the best way to reach out to her. Of course, if you want to learn about any of the events and the stuff that she has going on, make sure you check out her website as well, because she's got some cool stuff coming down the pike. But again, I'll make sure you have contact information for all of your sidebars. So thank you for the...
Thank you.
You have the con.
So I think this was not even on my radar the last time you and I talked, Kay, just like a few weeks ago. But my husband and I and one of my producing partners have just like decided, fuck it, we're going to make a feature, but also we're going to do that with marketing in mind, like before we start production. And then like one of our big things that we're currently mapping out is like, in the indie world that I live in, the two films that have gotten so much buzz lately are Sing Sing and Hundreds of Beavers, because they've had very unique ways of doing things. So I'm like, can I just take both of those and like do my own version of that with a small film and just like see what's possible, like, and make some mistakes, but also like learn some things. And then how can I translate that to the next one? So we're currently in the process of building our roadmap for that, for raising a little bit of money to do that later in the summer, where it's like everyone's participating in the equity side of it. It's first dollar gross, so people aren't waiting 5 years and then all the marketing expenses, et cetera. It's like we're capping out marketing as part of the initial budget, as part of the initial spend, so that it's like its own thing. So like that's where I'm at, and that's also like in alignment with where I think the indie side of the industry is going. Is like, fuck it, we're going to do it our own way, and like figuring out ways to like make that possible and like take distribution into our own hands and take marketing into our own hands and like build teams from the beginning that can sustain that, rather than like making the movie and being like, wait, prayers aren't working. What do we do now? Because I feel like it previously is like you make the movie and then you're like put it in festivals and you pray to whatever you're praying to. But like, you know, it's kind of been that strategy, and that doesn't answer the question of like, what do you do with your film, you know? So I'm very much in the early stages of figuring out what that path looks like, but I have a group of people that are equally excited about figuring it out. And I mean, we're putting in the work. So well, let's talk in a few months and see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I think that answers kind of both parts of the questions. Like, what am I up to and what do I think is going to happen? You know, I think Indy is going to make it out alive of the change. It's just, you know, it's going to be uncomfortable, but that's kind of the ebb and flow of human existence, right?
Yeah. Yep. Because something came into my brain when Stephanie was talking, and then again, just as you were talking, I have to share it. But first, you all probably know Tabitha best as the co-founder of the Dark Red Horror Film Festival, but she also has a little something that is on pre-sale on Apple right now. So I want to make sure you guys have the link for that in the chat. So clearly, if you want to check out Dark Red Horror Film Festival, it is there in the chat. But also the Release by Sunshine, if I got that right,
Yes.
now available for pre-purchase on Apple. Make sure you check that out. Speaking of just like balls out and owning it, because there's a thing called Share Platform, and I've been trying to do more and more research on what they have, because, you know, they're still building and they're still kind of making it. But part of the idea behind it is that share the equity, right? And so usually it's only the above the line people that get any sort of back end,
Which is silly.
It's ridiculous.
Sorry. Back to the above the line, below the line. Like, let's just like take out the line and just, this is our team. And they are all contributing. Anyway, sorry.
No, and part of the ridiculousness of it is, and I remember hearing a podcast not too long ago about a costume designer who did something for a really big name studio, whatever. And as part of their contract, the thing that they design, like any other fashion designer, they don't have the rights to. So when the studio then replicates it for sale as merch, they don't get any of the back end of those sales, despite the fact that they made it. They designed it. Yeah. And if they were in the fashion world, that would be outright theft. And what happens in the film world is, well, you came in like a grunt and did the grunt work, but you don't get any of the credit as the designer. And that, for me, that's insane, right? Like, you designed the thing, you should get some of the money when you sell the thing that's based on your design.
Yeah.
What?
The studio system is very exploitive in its nature.
Yes.
I would love to see that change with however we, the people, decide to create creations in the future.
Yeah. Because I feel like most people here have heard of Legion M. Share Platform is like that, but instead of the studio being made up of fans, the studio is made up of your crew. So it literally is a way to find other people interested in this equity structure. So I'm just gonna, no affiliate, not yet. Just wanted to make sure everybody had it. Share Platform there for you. But I think it could start some really interesting conversations around how do we protect the mental health of our below the line people, right? Protect the mental health of our team by ensuring that we've provided for them beyond just this project. Because that is, do you guys, I know some of you do, but like when I first got to LA, there's this thing that happens where everybody goes on unemployment between projects. Racked my brain because I have never heard of such a thing. I'm from DC. The only people who go on unemployment are people who work for the federal government and used up all 6 months of their like savings, or veterans. And those are the only two categories. Like everybody else, just absolutely not. So the fact that people do it regularly here, there's something messed up with the system, right? Just full stop. There's something messed up. Because if they had that back end, they would be getting a steady stream from their previous projects to hold them over. And it just makes sense to me. Oh, Steph says, same here in Vancouver. I tell you what. All right, now that the soapbox is in full force, this is the best time to, clearly we've revved up and we're ready to get back to work, right? I do want to invite any parting thoughts, but just for those who've been with us in the chat, thanks so much for joining us during our tea time and chat. And thanks so much for sharing. And even if you're a lurker, just know that the water's fine. You can jump in anytime. We are going to be back next week, although because it's a holiday week, it's going to be a recap. So just fair warning. You can still drop in though. Let us know your victories because we'll still comment it after the holiday and help you celebrate. And then after that, I have a very special guest. I can't wait to announce her, but one thing at a time, got to confirm all the stuff. Just a special thanks to everybody who came out today. Steph, you're amazing. I can't wait to hear more about production value. Raven, I love everything that you do and everything that you stand for. And thanks for being here. Tabitha, you're awesome. And thanks for fighting the good fight and throwing yourself back out into the future world. Midian, one of my oldest film friends. I love you dearly. And I you know what? Rock on. That's all I can say to you because you rock so much. Just rock on. All right. Any parting thoughts or advice? Because, I'm here for you. What you got?
Lean into your community right now. Look for your community, support your community, and look out for even the people that you think are strong and doing fine, because we're all struggling right now, every single person, and just try and remember to be kind.
I will make that into a sound clip, by the way, because that's amazing. That will be words to live by. We got to thank you in the audience. Thanks, Mr. It could be Miss Calhoun. P. Calhoun, thank you for today. I needed to get to my next appointment, but great stuff. You're welcome. You're very, very welcome. Oh, see, I couldn't see the picture before. Mr. Calhoun. Now I know. Tabitha, Raven, Stephanie, any parting advice for up and coming or current bosses in the industry?
Keep your ethics close. Don't let people push you into things you know are wrong. Because
listen to your gut.
Yeah, for real. Like your gut is the best thing for you and it will keep you out of trouble. Because when you don't, you end up in situations that aren't okay. So always keep know what your ethics are and stick with them. And yeah, it might not work out for this one time, but in the long run, you'll have the respect of your peers and your audience too.
Y'all with the mic drop moments. My heart. I would say you're killing me, but really you're swelling my heart and my body just doesn't feel like it can contain it. Thanks for swelling my heart. Raven, Tabitha, any final thoughts for bosses in the industry?
Go ahead, Tabitha.
No, you first.
I would say, as I mentioned earlier, to literally mind your business. I had a client once tell me that I make people sit up straight, and sometimes they don't like that, right? So because sometimes I come in and I put systems in place, or I request contracts, or I send invoices instead of just letting you pay me some under the table rate. And people are not going to like that, but continue literally to mind your business. Make sure that your affairs are in order on the business side, whether you have like an official full company as an LLC or you are still freelancing and contracting with different companies. It doesn't matter. People will try to intimidate you into doing things in a sideways kind of manner. And I feel like if you start that, it's a snowball effect. So like I said, mind your business, keep your business affairs in order. And I feel like things will pan out really well for you.
Yeah, it protects you and it protects other people. So,
Right.
yeah, by all means. I think Megan said exactly what I want to say. Just be kind. Like, don't be a dick. It just makes everything better. That's my advice. Be kind.
And the 1-2 punch of that, because on one side of the pillow it would read "Don't be a dick," and on the other side of the pillow it would read "Don't let dickheads get you down." Right? Quick, merch team, get that together. You guys are great. Thanks so much for doing this. And I hope this is a good start to your weekend and you have a powerful next week. And I look forward to chatting with you again.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you so much, Kay. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the platform. Thank you for following through on all the things that you said you were going to do with providing a place for industry professionals to really just use their voices. So thank you.
Yeah. For as long as I can, as if my feet can hold up and my heart can hold out. Yeah, because we need to keep talking about it. So thanks for keeping it in your head and your heart so that we can. Yeah, man.
And for finding and bringing together such amazing women in the industry. So
Right?
yeah.
I feel like that's a default now because of the members I've had or the guests I've had so far. I've had one male identifying and everybody else has been female identifying. And I'm like, I'm not mad at that. I feel like, that feels right. So yeah, happy to, and that is an open invitation. If you yourself are, you own your own business, whether it's a solopreneur or, so because boss of one happens too, like reach out. Let's have you on the show. Let's get talking because your experiences and your perspectives are absolutely worth exploring so that other people can learn from you as well. So come on down. The water's fine. All right, y'all. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.